for less than the price of the bulk of the product that you sow, smacked down for no reason, and treated less than the animals that you tend to. You might have no choice but to revert back to the beat and the music of your ancestries. And for the positive light and energy, look up for being that is in your heart so strong. To look up to the Spirit that says do. You got to do when the Spirit says do. You got to do when the Spirit says do. The Spirit says do. You got to do, oh Lord. You got to do when the Spirit says do. 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 You got to sing when the Spirit says sing. You got to sing when the Spirit says sing. The Spirit says sing. You got to sing, oh Lord. You got to sing when the Spirit says sing. 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 Well, it's kind of funny. We are short out there, and we've got a lot of people up here, so that kind of balances it out. I guess because of all the weather and wintertime struggles and different things like that, people don't always make it to Sunday morning service. But welcome, everybody. Of course, I don't see anybody that's new. A couple of returning faces from many months ago, possibly. And I hope that Jack and Diane, you all Diana did a very good travels and everything. Good, good. Now we have a chalice lighting. In your hymnals, it is going to be 153, and we'll only sing verse 3. Again, verse 3. I was singing and praying with my mind, singing on freedom, singing and praying with my mind, stayed on freedom, singing and praying with my mind, stayed on freedom. Thank you, Karen. When you're usually singing while it's getting lit, you don't pay attention sometimes, which is bad. 462. 462 was written by Paul Robeson. Was a brilliant African-American singer and actor, particularly known for his portrayal of Othello. Robeson was, though never charged or arrested, but was blacklisted and prevented from traveling during World War II because of advocacy of the Russian citizens, and also on his behalf of the colonial people of Africa. He actually worked a lot with that. Was asked when why he didn't move to Russia. He said, "My father was a slave and my people died to build this country, and I'm going to stay right here and have a part of it just like you." So let's read together 462. I shall take my voice wherever there are those who want to hear the melody of freedom, for the words that might inspire hope and courage in the face of despair and fear. My weapons are peaceful, course, now we will share any joys and concerns that we have. Come forward. Come forward. Our next thing is we have a call and response reading. You'll notice it's Martin Luther King, so and this is kind of put together quotes and speeches, articles, and books. Hobart is going to lead us in this call and response, and it's 584.
We are caught in an unescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny.
Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
There are some things in our social system to which all of us ought to be maladjusted.
Hatred and bitterness can never cure the disease of fear. Only love can do that.
We must evolve for all human conflict a method which rejects revenge, aggression, and retaliation.
The foundation of such a method is love.
Before it is too late, we must narrow the gaping chasm between our proclamations of peace and our lowly deeds which precipitate and perpetuate war.
One day we must come to see that peace is not merely a distant goal that we seek, but a means by which we arrive at that goal.
We must pursue peaceful ends through peaceful means.
We shall hew out the mountain of despair, a stone of hope. Now we give generously to this fellowship for many different reasons, and we will pass the plate while we sing Hush.
Somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush. Somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I
Okay, I want you all to close your mind. Close your eyes and open your mind. Woo! Let's start over. I want you to close your eyes because I want to paint a picture for you. It's turning dark outside. You have been up since the rise of the sun. The first thing you did was put on a cloth. Now feel that cloth on your skin. It's barely as thick enough to hide the scars from the master the day before. You run out to the field to milk the cow so that your family, a family that you just met because you got ripped away from your biological family, but this is now your new family, can place this milk on the master's table before he even gets up. You get your mind ready for the long day in the fields. It's going to be 95 degrees outside today, just like it was yesterday, just like it was the day before. You hope not to be picked to go to market. For going to market means that you are going to be sold. Only the bad workers get sold, and they get sold to even worse masters. But then you see the master's horse and buggy riding off, and with a sigh of relief, you go and get to work. You will report to the master's field manager for the day, trying not to eye him in a certain way, and then you're led to the field to work. The morning goes on. The only joy is the beat of the hoe. You heard that other slaves get to sing to this rhythm, but in your master's reign, singing is forbidden. Just to sing, just to hum, would make the work go by so much easier. Your scabs are now burning from the sweat, and the ground feels like rocks. Then you hear your name, and you wonder, why do I hear my name? Was I in trouble? So you go to the manager, and the manager states that someone told him that you were grunting. You said yes, even though you were not. But if you were to say no, the wounds would be more and twice as deep. But this time the manager actually then says, no one heard you grunting. I just wanted to see what you would say. So you lied to me. You will see the master's hand later on that day. For now, you must work on your knees. The manager proceeds and grabs one of your legs, faces it up to the sun, takes his dagger out and cuts 5 cuts on the bottom of your foot. 6 on the other one. So all you can do is actually crawl. He tells you, you're not going back to where you were. You're going to go back to the field furthest away. You finally get there. Once you get there, you hear, it's lunchtime. Lunchtime in your fields were set up, get it while it's there. There's no way you could crawl that fast. So you are beside the orchard. You're going to go to the orchard, get you an apple, and have lunch. Then you hear another voice, another manager state, you're in the wrong area, son. Get back to work. So you get back to work. You work the rest of the day, trying not to grunt, trying not to complain, trying not to even show a scowl. Then you start seeing the master's coach heading back. There are called for 5 people's names to come to the master's garden, which your name is one of them. This is not good because the master doesn't even have a garden. This means one thing: you will see the master's hand. The master states, you lied to one of my managers and then you stole fruit from my wife's trees. What do you have to say? You say nothing, for you have learned no matter what you say, you will get slashed harder and worse. To take your punishment and retreat back to the slave quarters was an excitement, but was what you just had to do. The others now are saying they're going to head to the hush. The hush is a group of slaves worshiping for hope and assurance. It's almost dark, but you know you can still make it there. For going to the hush arbor means you're going to feel so much better. You will hear stories of Jesus' suffering on the cross, and you can relate to those harsh treatments. You will hear passages from the Bible offering hope. But most of all, at the hush arbor, you can sing. Not too loud, for the white folk can hear, but you can sing, you can hum, you can possibly even clap, and praise in a way that you can't praise anywhere else. You share the love there is out there, even though you don't see it. You share the suffering of each other so that you can relate to each other. You can sing of a new freedom, whether it's earthly or a future life. You can share hope of the railroad to come and help you find that gourd. You know you will live the next day and the next day. The picture is of greater equality, whether in this country, on this earth, or where the saints come marching in. Thank you all for letting me paint that picture. But now let's go ahead and share in song. Praise each other. Feel the spirit that they had all together. We'll go ahead and start with 95 in the hymnal. The next song will be 97. Please feel free to join in on the chorus. 97. Un momento, por favor. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. A long way from home. A long way from home. Sometimes I feel like I have no friend. Sometimes I feel like I have no friend. Sometimes I feel like I have no friend. A long way from home. A long way from Sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone. A long way from home. A long way from The next one is going to be, actually, I'm wrong, Stella, sorry. Now I'm getting messed up. 99. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Please sing with the chorus, please. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows my sorrow. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Glory, hallelujah. Now the next song, Stella's going to give us a little bit of information about it. It's when Israel was in Egypt's land. When we sing it, Hobart's going to actually do part of the song.
So the next song we'll sing is When Israel Was in Egypt Land. Sometimes also known as Go Down Moses. It is an African American spiritual, and it describes events in the Old Testament of the Bible, specifically Exodus 8:1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, Go unto Pharaoh, and say unto him, Thus saith the Lord, Let my people go, they may serve me, in which God commands Moses to demand the release of the Israelites from bondage in Egypt. The opening verse, as published by the Jubilee Singers in 1872, is Go Down Moses. Just a little more background. In the song, Israel represents the African American slaves, while Egypt and Pharaoh represent the slave master. Going down to Egypt is derived from the biblical origin. The Bible generally recognizes Egypt as being at lower altitude than Jerusalem and other core areas of Israelite territory. Thus, going to Egypt means going down, while going away from Egypt is going up. In the context of African American slavery, this ancient sense of down converged with the concept of down the river, the Mississippi, where slaves' conditions were notoriously worse, a situation which left the idiom sell someone down the river in present-day English.
So our next one is 141. Many times, of course, the slaves were ripped from their families, not over here only, but also from their families in Africa as well. So they could actually have 2, 3, 4, 5 different names throughout the process and part of their life. A biggest thing, though, about this song, it's not just about their name. It's also about knowing what is going to come once they pass on. They rejoice in that they are going to have their either name back or at least a name that they get to choose. Wonderful thing that we have done is we've taken our best knowledge of these spirituals and then tried to Englishize them. And one of the songs that even, the words are from, written in our hymnal are from UU, but this goes back way back at that Hush Arbor. So used to saying that. That Hush Arbor. Many of these words were lost. The tune itself was lost. But as we listen to other people, we get the words, we get the tune, and we've tried our best to write it down. So let's join in 148 in that idea. Did I skip one again?
Yeah, 156. We love you, Ed. It's all right. We know which one's his
156.
favorite.
Remember what I said a second ago, but let's put that on the next. Let's sing No Freedom.
Before I be a slave.
Doesn't matter how organized I tried to be on my laptop, on here.
You're human, you're human.
Oh, I guess I am. Well, it's kind of funny as we were singing to that, you notice that a lot of the words were still written all the way out when most of the time even Southern white people wouldn't have said them. Like singing, moaning, the slaves probably wouldn't have said those G's and those emphases. Well, because who are they going to be taught from? So, moving along with what we've changed and whatnot, we will sing This Little Light of Mine as it is written in 118. Which the words will be a little bit different than what you are used to. Service. All right. Unless anybody has anything to say about spirituals.
It was good.
All right, let's go ahead and do our closing words in the printed program. We extinguish this flame,
Not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
In our benediction, Joanne is going to say some words about it.
Grandma has to be careful on the stairs.
Follow the Drinking Gourd is an African-American folk song, first published in 1928. The Drinking Gourd is another name for the Big Dipper. Folklore has it that fugitive slaves in the United States used it as a point of reference so they would not get lost. According to legend, the song was used by a conductor of the Underground Railroad called Peg Leg Joe to guide some fugitive slaves. While the song may possibly refer to some lost fragment of history, the origin and context remain a mystery. A more recent source challenges the authenticity of the claim that the song was used to help slaves escape to the north and to freedom. Follow the Drinking Gourd.
Let's go ahead and actually sing all 3 verses.
Okay.
Follow the drinking gourd, follow the drinking gourd, for the old man is awaiting for to carry you to freedom. Follow the drinking gourd. When the sun comes back and the first whale calls, follow the drinking gourd. The old man is awaiting for to carry you to freedom. Follow the drinking gourd. Follow the drinking gourd. Follow the drinking gourd. For the old man is awaiting for to carry you to freedom. Follow the drinking gourd. Now the river banks makes a mighty good road. The trees turn the way. The left foot, right foot traveling on. Follow the drinking gourd. Follow the drinking gourd. Follow the drinking gourd. For the old man is awaiting for to carry you to freedom. Follow the drinking gourd. Now the river ends between 2 hills. Follow the drinking gourd. There's another river on the other side. Follow the drinking gourd. Follow the drinking gourd. Follow the drinking gourd. For the old man is awaiting for to carry you to freedom. Follow the drinking gourd.
Thank you all and enjoy your week.
Thank you.